This is the Gold Newsletter Podcast, your home for investment, economics, and geopolitics. For our publications and archives, go to goldnewsletter.com. Welcome to the Gold Newsletter Podcast. Fergus Hodgson, broadcasting from New Zealand. I've been traveling, so we've been a week away. It is the Christmas break, but I'm super pleased to be back online. And we have a more topical or current show prepared. We have Carlos Camacho, if you want to do the Spanish pronunciation. He is an English, Spanish, or bilingual U.S.-educated journalist based in Caracas, Venezuela. And he writes for the Latin American Herald Tribune and also the BBC. We won't hold that against him. But Carlos...
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. So, Carlos, we have him on the show to talk about this new petro cryptocurrency that apparently the Chavistas have dreamt up, which seems insane to me, but he knows the backstory, what's going on. So, Carlos, welcome to the show. I'm so pleased to meet you.
Hello, Fergus. Well, I'm pleased to be here. You probably know more about this petro, which Maduro is touting, than I do. The president did give some detail. It's the first instance anybody knows about of a government giving official and full backing to a cryptocurrency. I know that, for instance, there's one company here called Interlaces. I just learned that this week from a colleague who is bringing in two Russian experts about cryptocurrency to work with Maduro. Maduro formed something called Observatorio Venezolano de la Criptomoneda.
Yes.
Which is some sort of...
The cryptocurrency observatory, yes.
It's a watchdog, basically. They have committed to blockchain technology. But they have this thing that it's really a strong selling point. Not only the blockchain will back each petro, but they also said that they will find a way somehow to use oil and gold reserves to also provide additional reserves for the petro.
But But listen, Carlos, do you take this seriously?
Yeah.
I mean, because a lot of people, when it comes to currencies or cryptocurrencies, throw around this word backing very loosely and do not understand that traditionally, or at least still, in my mind, when you say something is backed by something, it is interchangeable, which means that if you bring
fungible,
a dollar to the Federal Reserve, or in I think before the removal of the connection, it was $35 to the Federal Reserve, they would give you 1 ounce of gold. How on earth would this cryptocurrency be exchangeable for something actually tied to some kind of commodity?
They are talking the talk, but I don't see them yet walking the walk yet. But this is the biggest effort any single government I know of has made to back a cryptocurrency. They're saying all the right things, right? The Bitcoin, that one in particular, is extremely popular in Venezuela. And just in a weird development, this morning, the National Guard arrested a guy who had 4 computers devoted to Bitcoin mining. That's not illegal in Venezuela. Apparently, some neighbors thought he was doing it. They raided his house. This is still ongoing. The National Guard just tweeted about it. But this is like the second or third time this happens this year. So it's not clear because mining for Bitcoin is not yet illegal in Venezuela. The economic environment here is extremely regulated. It's very heavily regulated. But there's no regulations pertaining to Bitcoin mining. But there's an interest. So the point I'm trying to bring about is there's an interest in Venezuela about cryptocurrencies. From what I hear, this article my girlfriend wrote last year, Venezuelans are the top Bitcoin holders in the planet.
Of course,
yeah. Yeah, they are there in the top 5, right? Bitcoin is extremely popular here. People yet don't understand, but what they're doing is they're mining for it. And, like this man used to do until this morning when the National Guard raided his house and expropriated 4 Ethereum machines. Ethereum is a type of computer used for Bitcoin mining, and, the National Guard just impounded the thing.
Well, just a little bit of context, actually. People should know, and if they've been following this show, they will know that the currency of Venezuela, the bolivar, which used to be called the bolivar fuerte, I guess they dropped the fuerte a while ago.
They're not so fuerte anymore.
Exactly, yeah. So the bolivar fuerte has been through, I think, 2 rounds of hyperinflation now in the last couple of years. So that it's exceeded 50% inflation in 1 month, which brings it into... Go ahead.
The National Assembly determined that in October, monthly inflation had exceeded that rate you're mentioning, 50% a month. That's what's considered hyperinflation. That's what Steve Hanke says, and more or less there's an agreement about that. And since the central bank has stopped publishing inflation figures, which is by law, it's obligated to do so, but it hasn't done so in several quarters now. Nobody's challenging that assumption that, Venezuela is in hyperinflation, has been at least since October, according to the legislative, the National Assembly. So that's what we are. I mean, right now, the parallel rate, which is the one being used.
The real rate, yes.
That's what they call, the parallel rate, It's 108,000 bolivars to the U.S. dollar. 108,000. That's even difficult to pronounce. So the biggest bill here, the largest bill, the 100,000 bolivar bill, is not enough to buy $1 at the parallel exchange rate. That ought to put things in context. We're also going through a cash crunch. I don't know if you heard about that one.
Okay, well, just to clarify with that 108,000, because that may not mean a lot to people, but when I went to Venezuela for the first time, I think in 2013 or 2014, the rate at that time was still 65 bolivares to the dollar.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then with the second time I went, I think it was 170 to the dollar. So the change is astronomical.
A year ago it was just 1,000 bolivars to the dollar. Now we are at 108,000.
It's insane.
It's really insane.
This has proved fertile ground for the alternative currencies, for cryptocurrencies, or just the dollar, of course. And so that has made it more prominent. And even though it is not illegal, apparently that doesn't stop the Chavistas from arresting you.
But you want to hear something really, really insane?
Okay, mate. Let's hear it, Carlos.
There's a very strong collectivo.
Yes.
Which is, it's something like a bit of an. It's what in El Salvador you guys would call a MADA. But, their activities are
violent.
They have to do with supporting the Maduro administration using sometimes physical violence. And I don't think that definition would offend anybody. That has been determined, by the way, by the Organization of American States and the United Nations. So this collectivo is launching its own currency. It's called El Panal, the beehive. And each panal is worth 5,000 bolivars.
They have tied their cryptocurrency to the bolívares. Are you serious right now?
It's a physical thing. And they held a press conference today. They invited Latin American Herald Tribune. I couldn't attend, but they citing the big problems: hyperinflation and cash crunch.
Yeah, but how can there be how can this resolve hyperinflation if the cryptocurrency just follows the bolivar?
It's anybody's guess. But they're denouncing hyperinflation, and it's extremely rare when somebody that aligned with the Maduro administration denounces hyperinflation. Most supporters just deny it. And the guy sent me this man Anthony Martinez, who is a government employee. He sent me a screed. I'm gonna call him that. I'm gonna call it that. And decrying the hyperinflation and cash crunch. And it really read like something the opposition could have written. I say, I can't believe this guy is a supporter of Maduro. He is complaining about the same problems as anybody else.
Do you want to rub elbows with the best minds in the precious metals and mining industry? You can on the Money, Metals, and Mining Cruise from May 28th to June 7th, 2018. Explore the jewels of the Mediterranean while discovering the latest strategies to successfully invest in precious metals and mining stocks. It's a perfect blend of adventure, learning, and luxurious leisure aboard the Crystal Serenity, always a popular destination. Cabins will sell out fast. Call cruise experts at 800-797 9519 to learn more or visit our website, goldnewsletter.com/cruise.
What is this cash crunch you talk about? What's the deal with that?
Okay, it's very simple. There's no cash. Banks only give you, when they have it, a single 100,000 bill. Yesterday, I stood in line for 90 minutes to get one bill like that. That's a third of a monthly minimum wage, which is of 300,000 bolívares. And with that thing, you buy basically, lunch or something like that. Prices here have increased. Inflation here so far this year is of 1,369,000, according to the National Assembly. That's 1,369,000. Okay? So that's how much prices have gone up.
Why have you remained in Venezuela? Why haven't you not just left like so many other people?
2.5 million, exactly, according to Universidad Simón Bolívar. I love my country, and I paid the price of the ticket. Now I want to see the full movie.
The movie's been playing. The movie's been playing for a long time. Are you going to wait until Venezuela is Cuba?
You know what? It's exciting to be here. Sometimes it's annoying. Sometimes you catch a break. Gasoline is still extremely cheap. But I see your point. There are situations here which are, insane. Some people just can't hack it, and particularly crime. People are extremely affected by violent street crime. Usually, somebody gets mugged, and they leave Venezuela the next day. That's how it happens.
But what about you? Have you been mugged personally?
No, I've seen stuff. Heck, I went to a demonstration and they fired tear gas grenades at me. I wasn't hit like Juan Pablo Pernalete was hit and killed hit in the chest and killed by a National Guard grenade. But, I have a commitment to Venezuela, I guess. I love my country, and I intend to be here for the duration.
But do you see any light at the end of the tunnel?
Yes, especially after the narco sobrinos sentence yesterday. I think Maduro's just, biding his time, waiting for oil to go up, which it isn't, waiting for something some deus ex machina that save him. And I don't see it happening. So there's going to be a transition here soon. Maduro has been led to believe that winning fraudulent elections or heavily criticized elections will somehow lend him some legitimacy. It hasn't happened. Right now, as we speak, the government is negotiating with the opposition in Dominican Republic. They obviously are not as strong as we think they are.
But negotiating for what? What is the negotiation about?
Fair presidential elections.
Yeah, I've been following Venezuela for so long now, and I don't know how anyone takes these elections seriously. It just seems like a joke to me. And not only the elections, but these negotiations. There have been negotiations, and nothing changes. Why are the opposition even bothering with these negotiations?
I think the government has painted itself in a corner. If they want, they can go the Mugabe route, just stay in power forever using whatever means, or they can try and say, well, okay, let's take our chances. OAS or UN supervised election and hope we win. They still have 30% of the solid vote, and they are still hoping. And I'm not joking about this. They're still hoping to appoint the opposition candidate that will run against Maduro next year.
How do you mean appoint that candidate? You mean to basically to infiltrate and control?
No. The pro-Maduro Constituent Assembly, which is a fraudulently elected body, according to the OAS. They are hoping. Delcy Rodriguez, the president of the Constituent Assembly, is hoping to just say, well, the candidate who will run against Nicolas Maduro next year is going to be Carlos Camacho or Fergus Hutt, a candidate of our own choosing. That's what's being discussed right now. It's going to be free and fair, or what's it going to be the deal? So the opposition here is shooting for free and fair under international supervision, and, but let's see what they get.
Right. I'm not so optimistic about that, but...
Well, let's see what happens, because obviously they are not as firmly installed as we thought they were. There's something happening in the other camp. There's been divisions there, very high-level defections by Rafael Ramirez.
Well, the Attorney General fled to Colombia.
Attorney General.
Yes.
And there's this thing with the narco sobrinos, the 18-year sentence yesterday. they are not in a good spot right now. Yes, they have 91% of the municipal governments, and they have like 80% of all state governments. But that's just more money out the window, you know. That's just more money the government will have to spend to keep people happy. Now all of Venezuela now depends on the ruling party, PSUV.
Well, okay, Carlos, let's go back a bit to the economy, because my concern is that any kind of political discussions are somewhat not necessarily depressing, but I just have seen these elections come and go for the last few years, and not a lot of good came out of them. Even when the opposition won the majority of the National Assembly,
that was the worst.
It just became a joke. It was embarrassing.
A win is not always a victory, particularly in Venezuela. The opposition won, and they won big, and eventually they lost. Now that they are losing, they are sitting face-to-face with the government. It's crazy. But they know the opposition has credibility. They want some of that credibility. The Chavistas have the power, and the opposition has the credibility. Antonio Ledesma, one of the leaders of the opposition, he can go anywhere. Maduro cannot leave the country. He's in Cuba right now. He is surrounded by the faithful, which is, presidents from ideologically aligned countries. But obviously, he doesn't have the credibility the opposition has. And he craves that. I know Maduro personally. He wants more than anything else, and this is something not always clearly understood about Maduro. More than anything else, Maduro is a man who wants to be liked. He doesn't like to play the villain, right? Sometimes he has been forced to do that. So he wants that credibility really bad, but he's the way he has been doing it, it's the other way around. He's losing and losing more and more credibility.
Yeah, well, you're not going to get a lot of credibility when you jail your opposition. I mean, he's
absolutely. Venezuela went, but at some point his advisors told him, "Look, this is the way to go: repression, fraud, political prisoners." And guess what? It didn't work. So now, I guess, from what I'm seeing, they want to try something else. The Constituent Assembly just got them into more hot water. Every election they have won, and I'm using the term very loosely, this year, guess what? It's only been more trouble for them. So, at some point, you got to say, I got to stop winning these elections. This is killing me.
Yeah, well, there's another way around that, to actually have genuine elections, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. The piece of the puzzle that I do not understand right now is why anyone is even still using the bolivar. Why has there not been a bottom-up dollarization of the Venezuelan economy at this very point?
There is one going on. It's a Cuban-style dollarization. It's informal, but it's lively. So a man stopped me on the street the other day and offered me $3,500 for my car right there.
And what did you say? What did you say to him? Yes, no, maybe?
I said no, because what am I going to buy with that money? Maybe if I was leaving the country, yeah, for sure. There's two things that are dollarized here: cars and houses. Mostly the people use the bolivar for what I'm going to call non-serious transactions. I just fill up my car, and that was 30 cents. I have an SUV, a Ford SUV, right? And it was 30 cents. Man, that kind of deal you can't get anywhere else. Of course, gasoline supplies are now spotty. Sometimes the gas station doesn't have it. The refineries have been giving Maduro trouble, lack of maintenance and all that. But it's still you cannot beat that price. 30 cents to fill up an SUV, you cannot get 1 gallon in the U.S. for that. Some Latin American countries are even worse. I mean, in Chile, gasoline is even more expensive than in Europe.
Well, just as a point of comparison, here in New Zealand, I filled up my sister's car and it cost me $108. But the low price in Venezuela really reflects that the Chavistas are just emptying the resources of the country. They're just giving it away for free. And it's
like the subway here, the subway service in Caracas, good or bad or whatever, is free. I don't want any people who listen to this and are fed up with what's what you pay in New York, 90 cents, something like that, 30 cents. Okay, make it 50 cents. Here it's free, of course. There's fires in the subway. It has happened. Sometimes service stops altogether, right? There's robberies in the platforms. It's no joke. I was just outside the the Los Dos Caminos subway station, and they were taking out two guys in braces, in handcuffs. They were caught still, but still, it's a big city, 1 million passengers every day, right, for free. Come on, that's appealing. You get free, practically free gasoline. You get free. People don't understand how deep the subsidies are in Venezuela. You get free subway, free gasoline. The electricity bill is a joke. Of course, when it comes to the time to buy something that's denominated in dollars, like a cell phone, that's when you realize you're not making any money, any real money.
It's just very sad to me, Carlos, the way that the people of Venezuela have basically been bought off, that these subsidies have brought a lot of submission from people. And you were right earlier that it is true. This is really hard to believe, but even after everything, even after all the repression, all the rigged elections, all the imprisonments of the opposition, all the poverty, all the hyperinflation, still a strong proportion of the population are Chavista. It's amazing. They really live in an alternative universe, as far as I'm concerned.
They are not Chavista. They are dependent on Chavismo. It's slightly different. You have a country where 75% of the people make minimum wage. You know what minimum wage is here? $2 a month. And you're in a country where 75% of the people do not have, 75% of the workers have below high school literacy, right? So I know a lot of people who, strongly dislike the Chavismo, Chavez, Maduro, and all that. But they say, look, what else am I supposed to do? Just, starve? Clientelism is what we call it here, clientelismo. And yes, you're right. Chavismo has built, a model of clientelismo here. But in the process of doing so, they bankrupt the country. Now they are feeling hard-pressed to try something else, something different. They're going to increase the price of gasoline again this year, soon. And I don't see Maduro gave workers 6 minimum wage hikes this year because it was a year with a lot of elections, right? But it is no longer Papa Estado, Daddy State. They are no longer giving away 2 million apartments like they did. They gave away for free 2 million apartments.
It's crazy. I mean,
to party sympathizers. That's how you build a base, by the way. That's how you do it.
You're saying these Chavistas, what I would call Chavistas, aren't really true believers. They're simply economically dependent on Papa Estado, the big government, who will come to take care of them. And that's just tragic, really.
A lot of people more serious than me have said it. I'm just, the latest guy to say it. But yes, I've seen it. Who else gives away 2 million apartments for free? And that's in a country such as, and if they don't win the elections, well, they rig it somehow. They do something to win. They not only have support, but they have something much more important than support, which is the impression of support. You go to Venezuela and you see a lot of poor people, and it's very easy calculation to make. The poor support Chavismo, and it's not always the case. But that impression, it really helps them. The impression of support is right now in Venezuela is even more important than support itself, at least for the purposes of staying in government.
Basically, your belief is that the Chavistas or the Chavista regime, they are seriously trying to make a go at having a cryptocurrency that is respected. And do you have any confidence that they will succeed in this endeavor, that anyone, either in Venezuela or abroad, will actually want to buy and use this stuff?
I think that if we don't watch it, this will become like a Nigerian type of situation where the government issues some cryptocurrency and international criminals will buy it.
But what will they trade it for, though? What will this cryptocurrency be useful for, though?
Support. I mean, what will they do with that? They keep on building their support base. If this petro thing works, let's say bottom line, the Maduro starts making money off it. They will go back to the old ways, giving away apartments in exchange of votes, right? But as you said before, when you examine their track record, okay, they were handed to them, one of the most successful oil companies in the planet, and they bankrupted. Okay? That's not good, right? Doesn't look good for the petro. They were given a fairly strong currency, the bolivar, and they just, they bankrupt that one too. That doesn't look good. Venezuela, when Chavismo took over, Venezuela had foreign debt of $20 billion. Now it's 8 times that, $150 billion, and that's half of the GDP. Oh, well, that one didn't work either. So when you look at that, they had inflation under control with Caldera, more or less, and now you have a hyperinflation. Whatever, you just mentioned it. Every indicator looks worse. Crime. Let's go outside the economy. Also, in free economics, they say, well, crime is a part of the economy. Okay, so let's go there. Crime. It's much worse. 3,000 murders a year in 1998, 30,000 last year. Wow. It clearly is not. So those guys are going to administer the petro? Well, it won't work. I don't think it will work, but it will give Maduro some time while something else happens. That something else in Venezuela always is higher oil prices. That's what they shoot them for. They're buying time. They sit with the opposition if they have to. They talk about petro. Every week they launch something called a new, smoke grenade. That's what we call them, potes de humo. That petro thing could very well be this week's pote de humo, just a smoke grenade to cover their retreat or whatever. But they, at this point, they're just trying new stuff every week, see what sticks to the wall, keep on throwing stuff at the wall, see what sticks, and, waiting for oil prices to go up. That's their mentality right now.
Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Go to the podcast archive, just goldnewsletter.com/podcast, and you'll have the show notes there. I will put a link to our previous episode, which was specifically devoted to hyperinflation, and I'll also share the Twitter of Carlos. He's very active on Twitter. The predicament that the Venezuelans face is that Venezuela, unfortunately, in the media has become somewhat of a joke. People don't really take it seriously. It's just they've run out of beer or they've run out of toilet paper. It's just kind of a laugh.
When your friends want to laugh, you just tell them this. The last battle of the Cold War is being fought in Venezuela here today. You tell them that ought to sober them up real quick.
Folks, I do recommend following Carlos. I am one of his Twitter followers, so you can be sure he has some quality there. Carlos, I wish you best of luck. I know you want to get your own podcast going. All the best for that project.
Well, I hope we can go partners in that.
Sounds like a plan, mate. We'll talk more soon. Thanks so much for your time.
All right, take care, Fergus.